Hello, welcome to Essay Writing Workshop 2014. I'm Adam Aitken. I'm presenting tips on how to write the essay and how to understand the assessment criteria. It's based on work my predecessor Jody Sakaguchi did last year and the year before. Today I'm going to talk about the assignment question, marking criteria. I'll show you a couple of sample essays and tips on where to get help. And at the end of the session, if I were giving this live, I'd ask you for questions. So just I'll give you my email at the end of this session. Well, what we expect in IBP is different kinds of writing, essay style, report style, and a reflective style of writing. Today I'm really only going to look at a kind of essay style called the individual short essay. This essay is 500 words, and the main thing to remember is the format of essays. They do require paragraphs rather than bullet points. We don't want any bullet points. If you were writing a report, a business style report, you'd probably have more of those things like headings and bullet points. The assignment here is to also assess how well you think and how well you write complex ideas in a concise way. That is, you've got a lot of information and you can put it into just 500 words. At the same time, there has to be some sort of flow between all the paragraphs, some sort of structure, and we want you to have some kind of argument. That is, you have to have an idea of what the essay question is about and how to answer it. You're also going to demonstrate critical thinking, and in a sense you have to show us how you think, what you think, but we want you to be able to show us that you got your ideas from published sources, and there's quite a lot of to know about where published sources should be, where we should get our published sources from, and what are reputable sources. More on that later. What we don't want are sweeping statements like the digital divide is the most confronting social sustainability issue ever faced by humanity, or in this year's topic, food justice is the most confronting social sustainability issue ever faced by humanity. These are called sweeping statements, and they're not very academic. Well, part of this presentation is a response to trying to improve your writing and trying to show you what tutors want. Many tutors in previous semesters have complained that their students lack critical analysis, or their writing is too descriptive, and there's too much time spent walking through the ins and outs of critical analysis. That is, not really getting down to answering the question. The other thing tutors complain about is that few students manage to get referencing. So there's a lot of resources that I've put online on UTS Online that'll help you reference better. And today we'll have a little look at referencing. Other questions that students, other problems that tutors talk about are the lack of statistics or facts, making claims without any proof, not enough use of academic literature, and of course just poor English expression. Well, before I go on to the assignment question, I'll leave it there so you can refresh yourself and go through this presentation again. Then I'll go on to talking about the assignment question. So I'll talk about the question in a bit more detail here, discuss how the issues associated with food security might be understood as a wicked problem. The first 2 points are very important. try and use your own words as much as possible. When we mean your own words, we mean, generally speaking, your expression has been put together with the help of information from various sources. Your own words really means your own voice. That is, it sounds like it comes from an individual rather than that's something that's been cut and paste from 5 or 6 different places. In other words, you have to make it sound like you were speaking or giving a presentation, except this is in words. Justify your statements. That means any opinions based on or value judgments have to be based on factual evidence or connected to some kind of source where we can find scientific data or a source of statistics that we can trust. Use examples. So examples could be examples of characteristics of food security, causes of food security, an example, a characteristic of a wicked problem, and use Harvard UTS and use 5 sources at least. 5 sources should be very reputable, that is, written by experts if possible, sourced in expert publications. They can be from the library database or they can be from the internet if you find web pages or news reports that are well detailed. And, the Harvard UTS referencing system is quite complex, so there are quite a lot of resources available to show you, but I'll show you some basic things today. Of course, it's 500 words, and that does not include the reference list and edit for accurate language. You'll have to do a lot of editing. You should spend at least an hour editing so that you make sure that it's not too long or that you haven't read and left lots of mistakes or errors in it. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the actual question, discuss how the issues associated with food security might be understood as a wicked problem. Discuss is one of those instruction words that really mean you have enough information to show that you understand what food security and climate change is all about in this case, and how these two topics are understood as a wicked problem. Discuss means comparing different views of and definitions of a wicked problem. It shows a sample of important points that have been made by other experts, that is, experts on food security. And also you have to bring in some theory, a theory simply being the description or understanding of what a wicked problem is, what the characteristics of a wicked problem are, and then connect these issues of food security and climate change to the concept of a wicked problem. That really is what discuss means. We can describe a wicked problem in terms of its characteristics. We should, of course, only describe those characteristics which are relevant to food security. So from your reading you'll find out that you can describe many different wicked problems, but we really only want to talk about one, which is food security. Another way to look at this essay is to break it down into a sequence of some kind. So here I've got 3 stages. In the first part I'll talk about food security, describe what it is, describe what the issues are associated with it. Second part, talk about issues for business. Food security could be both a problem but a challenge for business. So challenge because to profit from issues to do with food supply, creating healthy food, making sure it's possible to supply the market with cheap, available, healthy food. Business can play a big role in that. So we could think of the third part as being a part where we can conclude that perhaps food security is an opportunity for business. What are the benefits and advantages that can be made, that can be found when we look at food security? And of course climate change. What is it? In other essays people have discussed ways that business can profit from problems and challenges associated with consumption, for example. So issues for business and opportunities for business, well, it really depends on many things, so it's an and/or situation. Okay, the marking criteria, they're there in the assessment brief, so you can look at them carefully. I'll just go through them carefully. Relate this wicked problem to business issues. A lot of students forget that, so they lose 3 points, 3 marks there already. Use a critical analytical approach. So that means, if you've read a lot and prepared for this assignment, it shows that, and you've been able to select relevant information, it shows that you have an ability to critically analyse information and select what you need. You're also able to link it together, so it's worth 6 marks. The 3 other marks are to do with organisation and grammar and spelling, and also referencing. And all of these things will, in the end, help you answer this question. Let's have a closer look at critical analytical thinking, and we'll take the statement, food security has features of a wicked problem. I've read my Oxfam brief and I've tried to find out what the challenges associated with food security are, and there are about 6 of them here. For example, understanding the impacts of food justice issues on community, or helping women cope with climate change. It's an interesting point too that women suffer most from food injustice because women are often at the lower end of the scale when it comes to access to clean, healthy food, even though they are families' main providers. Food security is a wicked problem, I've decided, and it has issues and opportunities for business. And you could think of how business could raise awareness of the issue and raise awareness of what causes hunger or food insecurity. Business could help promote the work of Oxfam, and business could also engage an Australian youth audience to do something about the problem. So business might have a clear vision of how it could address these issues. Of course, I'll have to look at examples and or at least 1 or 2 of an actual business solution. So critical analytical approaches can be assessed, and at one end, if you fail or don't meet expectations, it shows that you really haven't been able to think critically. Maybe it is that you've had too much subjective information, that is, information which is really not supported by any facts. It's how you feel about something, which is fine, but it needs to have, at the other end of the scale, some objectivity, some material or factual information to support it. Your answer might not have any logic, so really good thinkers tend to think in a sequence, or tend to be able to start with a problem and come up with solutions, though a wicked problem hasn't got any simple solutions, so we're not expecting you to come up with neat, tidy solutions for such complex problems. If you can look at one or two aspects of a problem, one or two characteristics of a wicked problem, and come up with some sort of solution, then you might be on the right track and be thinking logically. One thing people ask is, what is bias? Bias can be seen in, for example, advertising material. The information serves the interests of a particular person. It isn't there to be consistent or prove the truth. Bias is something that serves the person's selfish interests, really. Though at one end of the scale, we can never get away from our own biases completely. If you really want to get a good mark, you can show that your sources are objective, that the information in them is quite consistent, and perhaps, for example, if you go to the UN, most people would say that many of the UN agencies are motivated to give factual and reliable information based on research and observation. You won't be meeting expectations if you don't interpret to some extent the question. So there's room to move here if you want to talk about how food insecurity or food security is an aspect of a wicked problem, is a kind of wicked problem. You can interpret wicked problems in different ways, and therefore a food security problem might have different characteristics of a wicked problem. You can decide which characteristics are relevant in this, depending on your examples. So to sum up, critical is and analytical are linked together. Don't be put off by the word critical. It can mean, in ordinary English, to criticise or to find fault, but its academic meaning is to be objective and to evaluate or make a judgment and come to some sort of conclusion. Analytical comes from the verb to analyse, meaning to examine or consider, investigate or think about, and it usually requires more detail. So I guess this is the most important thing. Doing a critical analysis means not just summarising what you've read. Well, we'll have a look at an excerpt from last semester's question, which was about food consumption as a wicked problem. And I can't really give it to you now, but if you came to the live lecture, I would give you a handout, which is the sample essay, or a part of a sample essay from last semester. That's available on the Writing Workshops menu on UTS Online. So I might just skip this or just talk over it for quite briefly. I just want to talk about this sample essay briefly. It's a bit hard to read on the screen, but there's a copy available on UTS Online in the Writing Workshop section of Blackboard. Basically, it got a good credit, I think. It does define in the first paragraph what a wicked problem is and what a why consumption is a wicked problem. So remember, this is last semester's question. You'll have to think about how to talk about food justice and climate change in this essay. It does have reference in each paragraph, and if we look at, for example, the third paragraph, Smith is a good source of a economic prediction, and a statistical prediction, and it shows that consumption can be or will be an opportunity for business, at least in the future. So sources are used quite well. There's an example. We've left out some information so we could fit it on a page, but basically it is 500 words. References are shown here. There are 3. There were more than that in the original. So that's something what we'd like you to do. Oh, and don't forget, there is a sort of conclusion, but it only has to be a couple of sentences, and it's quite difficult in 500 words to have a detailed introduction and conclusion. In fact, I would recommend that if you've been taught to write an introduction that's half a page long, well, that's probably going to be too long for this. So let's just start the essay with a good source of a definition, something that quickly and succinctly explains food justice and climate change as a wicked problem. But generally speaking, all essays have to identify their sources, and that means we have to use the Harvard referencing system. So identifying your sources occurs in 2 ways. When you're writing your essay, every piece of information from another source has to have an author and a year. And at the end of your essay, you have your reference list. And in the body of your essay, we have in-text citations. In-text citations are indirect quotes which paraphrase or summarize information. They are more or less your own words. The meaning is the same as the original. So here's an example. According to Smith 2009, that's Smith 2009 is the in-text reference, and this is the content of that source. You could write it another way. You could put the sentence or the information first and put the in-text reference after it like that. And you don't need a comma, and a full stop comes after the brackets. Direct quotes, which I don't really recommend you use, you have to use quotation marks around your quoted information like that, plus a page number here. Now, the main point in your reference list is please have a correct title. So the title of your reference list, or a heading for your reference list, is reference list or references, not reference, referencing, or references list. So just a little thing there. Use the Harvard U-Test style. And many people forget, but order alphabetically according to the family name of the first author. If you have problems knowing what a family name is, it's always better to cross-check with reference lists that are available in other readings. Some of the expert authors come up again and again. I suppose there's no real easy way to check family names, especially if some of the writers are from cultures and linguistic backgrounds that are different from yours. If in doubt, check and cross-check and read more. Use the U-Test Library website, and there's a hub there that you can download from this PDF document and an interactive guide. Going on to some examples of in-text referencing. As I showed you before, this is another example with 3 of them, and I suggest you go over and read this in your own time and see how this paragraph is very logical and ordered. Even though it's using 3 different references, they are what we call synthesized. These are the in-text references in summary, and these must match the reference list. So in-text references are included in the paragraphs, and they must be matched with a full citation in the references. Don't put references to things that aren't actually mentioned in your essay. Okay, there'll be more on that in IBP UTS Online Writing Workshops. Go to the menu item on referencing. I've also made some prezzies, and they're quite short, but I hope clear. Click on the link, or if you want to go to the library, click on this link as well. In the menu, in the Writing Workshops section of IBP UTS Online, there are more sample essays and screencasts that you can watch yourself, and I really do recommend you watch those. Where to get help? UTS Library. Just go to the library and drop in at the Research Help Desk, or ask a librarian. More help for your writing is available if you join UPass Write, and I think you can still register. Contact Joe at uts.edu.au. You can attend a UTS Helps weekly workshop, or drop in at UTS Helps. It's on level 2 opposite the Concourse Cafe, and you can have a one-to-one consultation there. There's also a website that you can check out and download useful information on academic reading and writing skills. So good luck with the essay, and if you have any questions, you can always send me an email at adam.aitken, that's AITKEN, adam.aitken@uts.edu.au.